You are welcome to my YouTube training. This is the part 3 of how to write a function. I've done the part 1 of this topic and part 2 also. So you have to go back to the previous video to learn how to write a function. So now I want to teach how to write function for factors, common factors. They will also consider maybe LCM, less common factors, and the rest. So let's start with a factor number. Let me call it fact. Let me call it fact. So what do I mean by the factors of a number? So number that can, so when I talk about the factors of 6, I'm talking about all the numbers that can divide 6 without a remainder. So I know 2 can divide 6, 3 can divide 6, and 6 also can divide 6, 1 can divide 6. So all these are the factors of 6. 5 is the factor of 6, 5 cannot divide 6. So if I want to look for all the factors of a number, so let me write a function for that. So I will start with function. So what's the variable? Is we have just one, a particular number you are looking for the factor. So let me call it x. X is the number that we want to find, want to obtain the factors. And you open the curly bracket and click enter. So how do I get, so when you want to write function, you have to think, how do I get the factors of a number? First, you know that factors are, to get the factors, you know that there are numbers that can divide the number you're interested in without a remainder. So I can say, wow. And you know that the factors cannot be greater than a particular number. So I have to do for looping. So I have to use my for loop. I've done a teaching on for loop, so you have to go back to my previous video and watch the video on for loop. I want to apply for loop. So why do I need to apply for loop now? Because I'm going to try different numbers. So example, if I'm picking 8, if I want to look for the factors of 8, I'm going to try from 1 to 8, all the numbers that can divide 8 without a remainder. So because I'm going to try different numbers to check if they can divide 8 without a remainder, so I'm going to use for loop. So for loop, I can, when you want to remember, when you want to use the for loop, you write the letter you want to, or the object that you want to use. I can decide to use I can decide to use a word, I can decide to use fact, or anything I want. So, but let me use J. So J in is compulsory, but J is not compulsory. J depends on what you prefer. So 1 to X. So it means I want to consider from 1 till X. That means X is the number I want to look for the factors of. So if X is 6, I'm starting from 1 and I will stop at 6 because I can't be, the factors cannot be more than the number I'm interested in. So if I'm looking for the factors of 8, 9 can be, so that's why I'm stopping at X. So 1 to X. So for J 1 to X, what will happen? So I want to look for all the numbers that can divide X without a remainder. Now let me store my result in, let me call it RES. That's where I want to store my results. So first I have to create an empty set that I will call REX. I already explained the reason why we create an empty set in my video on for loop. So we'll create an empty set where I will be saving all my results. So whenever a result is a number can divide X without a remainder, I will save it in res. So what will happen in res? I want to check if X divided by J will give me 0. So that's what I want to check. I can do if else, let me use the, no, it's, if else function. I already did a video on if else function, so you have to go and watch my video. So I want to use the if else function. So if X divided by J gives me, so we use 2 equal sign to compare 2 things. I've done a video on logical operator, you can also watch that. So if X divided by J gives me 0, meaning there is no remainder. So we use 2% sign to get the remainder after dividing. So let me show you what I mean. Can you check the third environment? So if I do 15 2 percentage sign divided by 5, what's the remainder? It gives me 0. So it means there is no remainder. But if I do 5 percentage divided by 2, it tells me I have 1 remainder. If I do 15 divided by 4, it tells me I have 3 remainder. So it gives me what remains after dividing. So that's why I'm using 2 percentage sign. So I'm asking arrow, whenever x, after dividing x by j, if what remains is 0, that means there is no remainder. What will happen? You save j. So the output should be. But if there is a remainder, bring NA. Don't save it as j, bring NA. So now let me, in this rest, I'll put a bracket and call it j. So it means I'm iterating. I've already done this teaching of my video on for loop. So the first answer will be stored in j, second answer will be stored in j, third answer will be stored in j. What do I want as my output? I'll use return arrow ex. So that's it. I'll run. No, this return will not be in the for loop. It will be outside the for loop. It will be outside the for loop. So this curly bracket is closing the for loop, open bracket. So this will be outside the for loop. Correct. So let's check if our code is correct. Then we'll also debug it if it is not correct. So let me start with 8. Oh, no. So to create an empty set, this is not how I explain this. So I use vector. So this is it. So this is how to create an empty set. So I want to create a vector that is empty. Correct. So it's telling me 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, 4 is a factor, 8 is a factor, 3 is not a factor, that's why it brought NA. 5 is not a factor, it brought NA. 6 is not a factor, it brought NA. 7 is not a factor, it brought NA. So what if I don't want NA to be my result? Like I don't want NA the way it is showing. What will I do? Let me try another one before I do that. So fact, let me do the factors of 16. So look at all the factors. I have 1, I have 2, I have 4, I have 8, I have 16. But I don't want NA to be showing in my result. What will I do? So this is how to, I want to select a subset of all a subset of the numbers where NA is no longer showing. So this is what I would do. Remember, when you want to select a subset, I did a teaching on how to select a subset. You use a block bracket. Then I want to tell arrow select all the objects that are not NA. So this is my logical operator. I told you we use it as not. So when it is not NA, that's what I'm doing, rest. So I want to select a subset when it is not NA. So that's what I'm telling arrow. So let me write a comment. I'm selecting a subset for all objects not NA. So that's what I'm doing here. So let's repeat the same. I'm going to run the function again. So fact 8, are you seeing it? I'm not seeing NA again. Fact 16, I'm not seeing NA again. Fact, I save it as fact, so you can use any name you want. I use FAC. So let me use 76. Wow, so I can get the factors of 76 without having to think about it. So fact 131, just 1 and 131. So that's a prime number. Fact 165. So these are all the factors of 165. This is lovely. Wow. So this is how to write the common, how to get the factors of a number. So I'm going to stop here. This is the part 3. I'm going to continue from part 4. In part 4, we'll talk about how to get the common factors. So if you have 2 data sets and you want to get the common factors, how will you get it? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, share this video. If you have any topic that you want me to teach, write it on the comment section and I will attend to that. Thank you.